we're now going to listen to Gillian Cox. Now, so this is Women's Month, so we've left the best for last. But before we introduce Gillian, I just want to acknowledge that Gillian's been a partner 3 times, which is not quite how the program's designed, but she's such a phenomenal partner to the principals that we don't want anybody to miss out on that. And one of her partners was an amazing woman called Bizie Magwaza. She was the principal of Mtswati Primary, and we wrote we wrote Gillian and Bizie's story and captured it in chapter 6. And without any doubt, apart from the Ian MacDonald chapter, which is chapter 7, that story of Mtswati Primary was definitely one of my most amazing stories. And recently, very sadly, Bizie passed away as a result of COVID complications. So we're going to just take a 1 minute of silence to just remember and acknowledge the amazing role that Bizie Magwaza played in all of our lives. And then I'm going to ask Jill to share her story. But just first, 1 minute of silence. Thank you, everybody. Gillian, you've been a PFP 3 times, and in the book, we have 2 of your stories. We have the story of your relationship, your partnership with Bizie, and then we've also got the story of your partnership with Robbie Paramel. So do you want to share with us just a little bit about your experience of being part of this journey and this program?
Hi, Louise, and hello to everyone there, and a huge thank you for honoring Bizie. It means a lot to us. So I'll try and not reflect on that too much. My journey with PFP started in 2016 with Bizie Magwaza. She was the principal of a very, very rural school. Unlike any of the other partnerships that I've heard of today, 290 learners and a small team of staff. When I first went and drove up to the school, I simply couldn't find it because there are no road signs. Eventually, I was driving around half an hour later and I found 3 workers in a cane field, and I asked them for directions, and they said, well, if you give me a lift, I'll show you where it is. So they hopped into my car and off we went, and eventually found the school. Once there, the challenges were immense. She had quite a demotivated staff, all sticking to their designated roles, children attending schools when they felt like it, especially the junior primary. There was no functioning kitchen, no library. The pit latrines were disgusting, shortage of fresh food. Well, my heart sank. How could I make a difference? And I think with Bizie's big expressive eyes, and she had boundless optimism, we started tackling the problems. We decided to start with the easy ones first. And I was amazed at the change in the whole school. Teachers with shiny eyes, busy, noisy classrooms, full of laughter and song. By making small changes, there was suddenly hope in the community. And to me, that was the most incredible thing. The change I saw in Bizie was marked. After the flawless consulting course, she turned to me and she said, Jill, I'm going to change. I just listened to her telling me how she had been quite dictatorial in her relationship with her team. The shift to collaboration made her job so much easier as she was no longer making all the decisions. Her staff felt more involved and responsible. I think most principals in under-resourced schools have this approach. Standing in front of staff meetings, telling everyone what they have to do. And to me, that fosters a very childlike behavior in the staff. They try and see what they can get away with. They have a lack of commitment. So it was a huge eye-opener from my perspective. And I asked the question, so what was in it for me? So obviously there's a huge feel-good. You're tackling the immense problems of education. I'm a great believer in tackling the problem at grassroots level. I'm also incredibly angry at the inequalities that are carrying on and on. I just ask myself, when will this all end? How much longer must we all just try harder without any change? So that was my first thing. And then the second thing was the whole approach of PFP to a model of change. The model of change changed not only Bizie. I changed too. I've become, someone else said, I think Thomas, a much better listener, a thinking partner. I learned how to have circle discussions where every voice is heard. So I've moved out of simply managing staff in our workplace. We run a small engineering business in Joburg. From just checking they were following standard operating procedures and processing their work accurately, to actually learning to lead my team properly. I've helped my staff change their behavior to proper adult-to-adult relationship. I've moved them out of their safety net, where all the problems, they used to just, any big problem, they used to just send it to me. So now they're actually growing and they are able to fix it themselves. I think that happens in a lot of businesses where a lot of employees have come through the education system in South Africa, that people just think, can't do it, let the boss do it. So there were lots and lots of stories about Bizie. I think she features 4 or 5 times in the book, and I'm not really going to share those unless we have time. When Terry asked me to partner a second school, I felt quite confident. I thought it would be a piece of cake. Well, firstly, the principal, Dr. Ravi Perumal, was from a very different background. He was of Indian descent. He was male, and previously I dealt with a woman principal and women teachers. He had a much bigger staff complement, and he had 1,000 learners. Luckily, he was also passionate about making a difference. So the first staff meeting I attended, I said to him, I'm not going to sit at the front with you, because often headmasters want you to take on the headmaster. I said, I'm going to sit with your team. So I walked in the room, and there are all these rows of desks. We all sat in our rows. The teachers said nothing, and Dr. Perumal spoke for an hour. So I phoned Terry up, I said, urgent, urgent. And we had a triad meeting. And that all changed. He is now a completely collaborative leader. The learners and educators are all more involved. They're motivated. They show strong willingness to collaborate. Dr. Perumal's determination to delegate more initiatives to the SMT and SGB is helping them feel empowered and trusted. So rather than resisting change, the stakeholders and community members are enthusiastic. They embrace change in a very positive way. So I loved every minute of my involvement in Parkgate. I've met incredible people. They're willing to do much more than they asked. And so a result of this is they attract like-minded people from foundations that are willing to support the school. I looked at what Peter Venn has done, and likewise, we have had a foundation who pledged 600,000 rand for a new assembly cover for the school. And it's just because there's such energy in the school. So my role's changed at Parkgate. I'm able to sit back and watch, often with amazement. The multitasking that's happening is, oh, there we go. Multitasking that's happening is amazing. The sheer number of projects on the go is incredible. I mean, Louise has been there and seen the energy of the staff and how they take over, and principal and I just sit back, and the tables are laid and the rooms are organized and the videos are done and everything sparkles and there's tea and coffee, and it's just quite amazing. And so then Terry asked me to partner a third school. So Terry and I actually both mountain bike, and we're cycling along, and she says, you know, won't you come and join the next circle? And I said, no, well, Terry, I'm sure you've got more people who want to benefit from the program, and I've learned so much, and there must be other business leaders, you know, she's got a huge network at Bizie. And anyway, eventually I ended up joining and partnering Redcliffe Primary. And what I have learned from my third time round is that there is no formula. There's no pattern and there's no recipe. We actually get results differently every single time. So I want to say to people that are watching here who are thinking of becoming business partners, don't be intimidated and don't be put off. We've just had a Zoom meeting yesterday with a whole lot of our leaders in our circle, and they're saying, but we will never be able to produce the end of the year video clips. We just can't do that. And it's all because of COVID and all that. And then I actually said, but it's completely different. We get different results differently every time. So it's like seeing a beautiful house. If there's no love and care, just like Peter said in his school, if there's no love and care inside the house, it's actually not so beautiful. And it's the warmth of relationships that change everything. And that's where the learning happens. To treat each principal differently with respect, with open heart, open mind, and open will. And from a personal perspective, my third time round, I keep saying to Terry, I just can't believe it. I'm still learning. I didn't do that last time. Why is it different? And it's just different personalities, different challenges. So I think finally, I just want to say that I believe change in our beloved country can happen right here in our schools. Let's just see how far we can push out the boundaries that hold back our youth. We have got incredible people in our country. They're often people from Europe that are offering to come in, and the SES Foundation, who want to send in delegates for a month and fix a school and then leave. And Louise asked me why I've never embraced them. And I've said, because Louise, I really think we can do it here. We've got so many incredibly talented people, and there's such community and collaboration. So let's give our children the best opportunities that are possible within the walls of their schools. And I'd like to say, let's rise above negative thoughts and behavior, and let's believe in our children. And I suppose that's why I've done it the third time round.
Thank you so much, Gillian.